What's up, YouTube? It's me, the Artisan MC, and today I'm going to review Roadhouse 2024. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I like Jake Gyllenhaal as an actor. I do. I think he does fight choreography well. He bulks up well, even though he's a little older now. I would believe he was a fighter. But this movie, however, was not good to me. It wasn't. I'm sitting here not 2 minutes after the movie stopped and just sitting here in utter underwhelmment at what I just watched. I guess this should be a reaction because I don't feel like going over the whole damn movie. Maybe because it's late, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I could have watched something else. Um, I feel like this movie was a disrespect to Patrick Swayze's memory, and that the writers or director didn't understand what the hell Roadhouse actually was at all. Now, they wanted to make their own movie where you could see white boys doing MMA, beating up each other and being tough as nails guys. Fine. But most of this shit was not good. It was comical in some senses. Fucking comical. And I'm really sitting here trying to rack my brain as to how they could this up so badly and miss the mark so far. I took a bunch of notes, but I'm not going to go over those notes. Maybe because I don't feel like it warrants it. Because again, I think I put more effort into something than the people who made that piece of shit did. So, in this movie, you get a little bit of the story of Elwood Dalton, a down on his luck person who has a mysterious but publicized past as a UFC fighter who is approached by a bar owner, Frankie. And Frankie has a little spot in the Florida Keys called the Roadhouse that has had some unsavory people start showing up, and she wants to drive them out so she can turn the Roadhouse into something big. Initially, she comes for someone else, which ended up being Post Malone, to prove he's a fighter, even though he looks about as worse as me if I took off my shirt after not working out. And his fighting looks sloppy as. But needless to say, he got, an acting role. But when Frankie sees how Post Malone's character acts when Dalton comes in and doesn't want to fight him, she is more interested in finding out why this guy, who she came to see, doesn't want to fight this other guy. And this is where you get Frankie introduced to Dalton. She makes her sales pitch, tries to assure him that he is it. Not long after that scene, you see Dalton pulling his car onto a train track and trying to kill himself. He changes his mind at the last minute and just ends up with his car hit by the train and not himself dead. Having survived that experience, he sees it as a sign and puts a call into Frankie and gets himself on a bus to go down to Glass Key in the Florida Keys and show up at the Roadhouse. Now, once he is here in Glass Key, he starts to sit in the Roadhouse, which basically just looks like a fucking restaurant. Applebee's by the ocean. And kind of defends against the first group of people who came in to start trouble, which is the ones that have been causing trouble for a while. No explanation as to why at the moment, but having seen the original Roadhouse movie, or any movie ever, you know they're working for somebody. But they are comical. Comical in the sense of the dialogue that they spurt out of their meat flappers, and comical in the sense that they are so stupid that some of them don't know what common English words mean. And one of them is over enamored in explaining everything. Needless to say, these guys get their ass kicked by Dalton on his first day there. But he is such a nice guy that he drives them all to the hospital and nonchalantly leaves them in the ER, having admitted to being the one that beat them up, which would mean that was assault. And I think the hospital staff would be required to call police. Needless to say, on this trip to the hospital, you meet the doc or the ER nurse who comes out of the hospital insulting the person who just brought in 3 people beat the hell up, and tells him how much she dislikes him and he's a dickhead and everything else. Yeah, she rode in on her high horse for some reason or another to a complete stranger who just brought in 4 grown-ass men that he whooped their ass. But she gonna go out there with her little A-cups and talk some shit to him because she's kind of aroused by him doing a little bit of negging. Now, the next day, you have Dalton low-key training one of the guys from the bar. be more assertive, be more confident in himself. And what you get is a lot of scenes of just Dalton sitting around while other people are doing the damn bouncing. Now, this is the part where I mentioned that Dalton has no experience bouncing at all. It's not seen, it's not portrayed in this movie like an art or a skill or something that you gravitate to and you have to learn how to do it well. You have to have some experience doing it because it's not about just beating people up. That's missing from this movie. What I got in this movie, and this is where the review stops because it's so ridiculous. I don't feel like reviewing it, especially not this late. Yes, there's a villain. Yes, he is also comical. Yes, he is outright stupid. And I hate seeing him on screen. So, what did I get in this movie? A bunch of idiots fighting with a bunch of fucking psychopaths that just get kicks out of fighting and beating up on people and being hurt. That shit was not entertaining. As much as I tried to give it a chance to be entertaining, it was not entertaining. I'm disappointed they even made this shit. Honestly, I'm really disappointed. I'm really containing myself just thinking about how much of a shit somebody just took on one of the movies that I actually loved. I'm sitting there thinking about Patrick Swayze. I really am. And just like, you would have did better not calling this shit Roadhouse at all. You could have called it The Bouncer. Because that's all he was. A fucking meathead with hooks. Because if you'd ever watched the first movie, Dalton wasn't the bouncer. Dalton was the cooler. The bouncer's bouncer. You know, the guy they look to for leadership. The guy that was nice because he had so much experience doing this shit. People knew who he was before he showed up. And they had respect for it. No, all the villains wasn't dumbasses. They were grown men on legit mission for what they were doing. And yeah, that's still in there in this movie. It's not handled worth of. This Dalton is stupid. Or just in some ways illiterate. He knows shit. He's smart in some ways, but only when it comes down to fighting. I just spent 15 minutes recording this shit, and I'm really feeling like I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about this shit anymore. I really don't. But I know I'm going to. But it does not deserve a 30-minute review or a breakdown of it. No way. No way. This shit is as stupid as Conor McGregor's walk. And the more I see that dude on screen, the more I'm thinking of, he might be a badass fighter, but he is fucking goofy as shit. as ill proportioned as I've ever seen somebody. Like, where is your fucking neck? All about swollen upper body. Like, oh my fucking God. Did you ever make it to leg day? And how much of your ass am I supposed to have to see in this shit? Yeah, it was funny the first time. But I'll give a shit about the second time. Oh, and he ain't dead either. Spoiler alert. Stupid shit. I can't believe I sat up to watch that shit. I got a page worth of notes, and most of them are all questions about the dumb shit I was seeing in here that was done. Like, I don't know. Somebody expecting somebody to shave them with a straight razor while they're drinking on a boat in rough seas, and they keep talking and getting up and moving, and surprised they get nicked or cut. And they're so angry about getting nicked and cut, they go up and punch the pilot of the ship in the face. They punch the captain of the ship in the face. For what? He ain't the one holding a knife. He ain't the one trying to get a save in rough seas. Like, oh my God, dude, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. You know what? That's it. I'm done talking about this movie. It was shit. It was shit. I don't fault Jake Gyllenhaal. Her writing sucked. It didn't make much of any sense. It strayed so far from formula on, even if you would have did just a remake of what was done before, you would have had a better show. You only lucky this shit is on streaming. If this shit was in the theaters, you would see the biggest loss next to the Madam Web or the Marvels. You would have. Because it sucks. So I'm done with this. I'm not talking about this shit no more unless somebody asks me. If they don't ask me, I'm going to act like it never happened and try to blank it from my mind like I got a concussion. But that's it. Peace.